So if you're like me, you probably heard that you have to pre-wash your fabric for reasons. But then you probably thought, how exactly would I do that? Is it any different than washing clothing? Well, luckily for you today, I have a huge pile of fabric that I need to pre-wash before I start my sewing because I don't want to ruin anything. And we are going to go together. 4 easy steps on what you need to think about when you're pre-washing fabric. Welcome, my dear sewing friends. It is wonderful to have you here again. If you are just brand new here, welcome. My name is Evelyn Wood and I am the creator of VintageSewingSchool.com, and well, here on this channel we talk about everything to help our garment sewing because I want you to create those garments of your dreams. If you haven't already, do check the subscribe box down below, the subscription box. Do check your subscribe because we have lots of videos coming up just like this one. Now, you've obviously seen the title of today's video and we are pre-washing fabric. How to pre-wash fabric. I have made videos in the past on why to pre-wash fabric and they'll be linked down below of all the reasons. And I know you've heard this, right? Why? Quick and easy, why we pre-wash is to stop shrinkage, to stop color run. Basically, you want to find out if anything's going to happen to your fabric before you go to all the trouble of making a garment out of it, because we all know how long that takes, and then find out that the color runs or it shrinks or something. We don't want that after then. So pre-washing, and fabric can just be dirty too. That's what that other video is for. This is how, because the question come up a lot in that video and I get asked this a lot, is how to pre-wash. So this is what we're doing. I have a massive pile of fabric that I've collected here, some secondhand, some brand new, and we're just going to go through the steps together. I've broken it down into 4 steps: preparation, sorting, washing and drying, of course. I think the drying is one of the most important points. The single biggest rule in pre-washing any fabric is that you want to pre-wash it, so wash your fabric, in the exact same way that you're going to treat the finished garment, because that's basically what we're doing. We're seeing if it can withstand the washing that we're going to use for the garment. So there's no point treating your fabric delicately with a hand wash if you intend on putting your finished garment into the machine on a strong cycle and in the tumble dryer after that. You want to dry it in the same way, at the same temperature, same detergent, same everything. That's the basic rule. But let's get on with our 4 steps. So let's start with the prepping. And so prepping for any kind of fabric is really about finishing off the raw edges. So here's one I've already prepared earlier. You want to finish off the raw edges because if you don't, and I'm not going to say that I do this every single time, but if you put this in the washing machine with all these raw edges, it is going to fray out. Every fabric is different. Some fabric will fray more than others, but you'll end up with maybe even less fabric as it frays through here, or your other fabric will end up with all the little threads and fluff all over it. So if you're doing lots together, it's definitely super important. If you're only doing that one length, you can probably get away with it a little bit less, but you want to finish it off. So overlock, serge, pinking shear, fold over twice and stitch, zigzag stitch, whatever you're doing to finish your edges, finish the raw edges of the fabric. And let's then sort our fabrics. Just like you would with regular laundry, sort into colors and sort into fluffiness. So if you have a lot like this, if you're just doing the one, of course, it's just by itself. There is no sorting. Move on to the next step. But if you've got a few things or you're going to put it in with other garments even, that's okay. You want to sort it. So I sort by colors. Obviously, if you're thinking about color run, you don't put darks with lights together for a reason of color run and for a reason of if any little fluff and fibers come off your fabric. You don't want to have black fluff all over your white like fabric. It's really hard to get off, we know that. And if you have something like corduroy or anything like that, you definitely want to keep that either by itself or something while it's still, even though you finish the edges, it can be quite fluffy. That first wash, a lot of fibers shed from things like corduroy and fluffy fabrics like that, so you might want to keep those separately. The other thing is, if you have vintage fabrics and are a little bit concerned about color run, like this one I have here, what I'm going to do is actually test this one first because it is an older fabric, and so it might be a little bit more prone to color run. And we'll get to that when we get into the laundry in a little bit. So I'm going to sort into Let me see. Okay, my sorting looks like this. I have actually already cheekily pre-washed these two corduroys because I did them separately because I didn't want any fluff to come off onto anything else. So those are done, but they were separated separately. I think these ones here will be all fine to do. This is a secondhand fabric, but I think the color won't come off, and I'm going to do it with these darker ones, so even if something happened, it wouldn't matter. This knit is secondhand, but I don't think that this is going to run in color. I'm not concerned about this. And this black one is actually a new fabric that I purchased, so I'm not concerned about color run on this one, but it is quite a long length on this roll, and I might actually have to only cut off certain lengths that I'm going to use because drying this much length is quite tricky, and you'll see that when we get to that step. But these will be washed together in the tub if I can, and then all of my whites. The only thing I will test this one for a color run first to see if it's going to test. That way all my fluffiness is separated, my colors are separated and won't damage each other. So I'm just going to finish off these edges and then we are going to wash. And washing, you know I'm going to say use the same wash cycle as you normally would wash your garments with, because that's what it has to stand up to. So I'm always a fan of delicate cycles and on the coolest setting that you possibly can, and the less speed. These are all things that will help your garments wash. If actual washing garments is something that you're interested in, garment care, I'd love to know. Leave me a comment down below, maybe it's a future video. Use the same detergent that you normally would and the same wash cycle. Now, I did talk about testing this fabric and I have it right here in my hand. So all I've done is I've wet this. It's been wet for a little while, so i.e. soak, put some of the detergent that I'm going to use and over the colored parts that I'm concerned about. And so I'm just going to like dab it. Fortunately, I have white on this fabric here, and so giving it a dab to see if any color has come off at all into the white color, and so far it looks good. So I'm going to go ahead, it's already with other colors, I'm going to make sure I don't leave it in the washing machine longer than it has to, get it out straight away so that there aren't colored parts touching other colored parts, just in case, but otherwise this is good to go. Well, while we wait for that, if you're enjoying this content, there's many other ways that you can get more of this. I've linked down below links to my sewing guides. This is a guide, sewing guides to all of my great YouTube content here that is all organized, searchable, in order. So all of these topic videos that I know you save for later because you want to reference them at times, these sewing guides are a way to have them all in one place. You can actually find all of this content. So these are my YouTube sewing guides and I've linked those down below. Okay, let's wash this, and well, drying is coming up. And yes, this is how we do laundry in the tropics. Sun shirt, hat, sunnies, sunscreen, the works. Needless to say, it won't take long out here because you know for drying, I'm going to say you need to dry it in the way that you usually would. If you only tumble dry, like put your clothes in the dryer, then you should dry your fabric the same way. I line dry, and I think a lot of us do too, and it is helpful with garment care and for long lengths. So really what you want to be concerned with here is we are trying to avoid damaging the grain of the fabric, and we don't want unnecessary just folds and lines, but we don't want to put extra weight that distorts the grain and makes it hang in odd ways. So if your fabric is really heavy, just like a heavy fabric, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to manage than it will a nice light one like this. Did you hear that frog? The joys of filming outside. So what I recommend is putting it over as many rungs as possible. So get it as flat as possible. So rather than just one rung over, and I would always recommend that you go lengthwise, so don't try and avoid putting it over the line selvage to selvage like this, like you have the fold in the fabric. Try and avoid that. Try and go lengthwise if you can. And so what I try and do is avoid unnecessary kinks. So this is over one rung, so it is getting folded and pushed around the entire one. So I want to loosen off that and distribute the weight a little bit more. So I can actually put this over many rungs of wire and it'll reduce the weight of the fabric. So something lightweight like this, I would just do just on the second rung here, but a really heavy one, I would actually try and do it as flat as possible and do the whole thing so the line is taking the weight. That way, you only then now have one kink at a 90-degree angle on your fabric, not a whole kink the whole way around. So something lightweight like this is pretty easy. You're not going to distort the fabric. But what if you have long lengths or something heavy or drapey, actually really drapey fabrics need a little bit of attention, and that's where this trick comes in. And that is where you want to hang it from the selvage down. And you need some good clips for this. So the nice wire, the metal pegs that you get these days, these are wonderful. This, or these hangers that are meant for skirts and trousers, are a beaut as well. So here's the trick. We want to hang this from along the selvage. Now I've got a huge length of fabric here, super long, and what I want to do is actually hang it from here. I don't want to keep putting folds and drapes over it. So here's the trick. Simply clip on the selvage part if you can, but if you need to clip it on the fabric part, that is okay. And so now you have your fabric hanging with no stress on any of the grain whatsoever. If you can clip onto the selvage, that's the strongest point, so it'll hold it in shape. You can do this inside, which is better than outside here flapping around, on a garment rack, a curtain rail, anything that you can do this inside. So this is my really favorite way to hang the fabric so you don't distort the grain. Okay, so just remember, it's about trying to avoid harsh creases and bends and trying to distort the grain line the least. I'm just going to let these dry. So now your fabric's dry. Now what? Well, I did make a sacrificial edge that I did not overlock. You can see here, and I've got lots of ratty tails compared to the one that I did finish. This one, yeah. Now all you need to do is really decide if you are going to iron and press it now or later. You absolutely need to press it before you sew, like before you cut out your patterns, so that it's nice and flat, wrinkle-free. It'll be much more accurate in your cutting. Needs to happen. But if you're not going to do that straight away, you're likely going to be folding it up or rolling it or something like that and storing it for a while. And as we all know, that gets creases from where you fold and store it. So it's really up to you whether you iron and press it now, because you'll probably still have to do it when you cut, or you just wait until that stage. Generally, I wait until that stage. I'm just going to fold and roll these up onto rolls, and then I will iron them as needed when I am going to use it. Unless it's a super crinkly one that I can't stand to look at, or wrinkly, I'll do that step later. So now your fabric is all clean, it's color fast, it's pre-shrunk, and now you are ready to sew. I really hope this helped you in understanding how to pre-wash your fabrics. Remember, there is only one golden rule. Pre-wash your fabric as you are going to wash your end garment, and you'll be fine. I'd love to hear your best tips on pre-washing down below as well. Let us know, because not everyone, this doesn't come natural to everyone. Other people will love to read those comments, me too. And I must not forget, if you are interested in finding out how to maybe reset the grain or fix the grain line on fabrics when you pre-wash them and they end up all warped and twisted, well, that is in next week's video, my friends. So stay tuned for that, subscribe, or check the description box below. I'll link it there when it is made. Okay, until next time, my sewing friends, happy sewing, bye.